What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. And today, maybe my first negative video talking about the launch and release and information that we're getting about Madden 21 since the connected franchise mode blog. Because other than that, we've been talking about ratings, we've been talking about the X Factor abilities when they got leaked a couple weeks ago. But today, on this Friday, this is like the final of the X Factor week, and they have posted the blog talking about the X Factors. And I can't stress enough how badly they dropped the ball with the X Factors this year. I'm usually not that guy that's, going at the throat of the guy, the game and all that stuff all the time. When it's something like franchise mode that's clear and obvious, that deserves to get put on blast. But when it's something that's X Factors or superstar abilities, it's different strokes for different folks. Usually I chalk it up to that. Usually I chalk it up to I might not like some of these abilities, but you have the option technically to turn them off. So it's much like ratings, where you definitely can complain about it, but at the end of the day, you could modify the ratings. If you weren't happy with your teams overall or anything like that, you could straight up just, make your own Madden ratings. If you're not happy, you don't like the X Factors and superstar abilities, you can go in the menus and turn that off. Now, it sucks because in a way, at least if you're just viewing it from a franchise mode standpoint, the X Factors and superstar abilities, that's one of the few exciting things you get when you draft a player and you see that hidden dev. And if you kind of have to turn that off, it kills one of the very, very few things that can get the adrenaline pumping in a Madden franchise mode. But I'm going to show you why they dropped the ball. Because we've already kind of gone through this and talked about, we got some new little screens here. It's awesome that they decided to make the menus blue this year. That's a huge improvement. Big upgrade. But we already kind of talked about the abilities and what players had abilities in videos before we broke it down by position. You can go check those out if you want to hear my thoughts on it. For quarterbacks, running backs, we did wide receivers, tight ends, and linemen in a video. We did, then we did all defense players in one single video. And ultimately, when it came down to it, this is the best news of it. I'm glad that they kind of led with this, is that we know that in Madden 21, especially if you played the beta, they're definitely putting an importance and emphasis on really using the defensive line. They added a whole new stamina mechanic and pass rushing mechanic that I, as someone that's always, that's actually not true. I started back when I was actually trying to be good at Madden, when we'd always play, at school against buddies, try to see who the best guy is at school. I would user the safeties. I was a safety user, but then eventually, I've told this story a bunch of times, I was the Chargers, and I took Sean Merriman, who was like a 88 or 89 outside linebacker, and then I saw on the depth chart, if you moved him to DN, he'd go up to a 99. So I made that little switch, and ever since then, I've been using my defensive ends and stuff. So I'm kind of happy that Madden 21 has essentially catered the game, at least from the defensive side, or put at least emphasis, maybe not catered, but put emphasis on those of us that use their defensive linemen. So that is going to be good for me, and should hopefully help out my gameplay a little bit when we're on the defensive side of the ball. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to put all that emphasis, this was an issue in Madden 20, and I'm glad that they kind of delved into it a little bit in 21, is that if you're going to put all that emphasis on the D-line, you need to make sure this offensive line can hold their own. You need to make sure you have linemen that are, when they get really good, they're going to be able to stop some of these overpowered defensive line emphasis. And I think they've done a fairly decent job here. They still have not added X Factors for linemen. And I swear to God, I will nuke the earth on a video if they have not found a way for linemen to go up in dev traits in your franchise mode, because that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But I do think that this is definitely the right direction. Linemen needed more abilities, because you definitely saw on my channel, and probably 99% in your own experience, that in Madden 20, the X Factors were kind of cool, but the pass rush ones were a little too overpowered. Every time you'd play Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Cam Jordan, they're getting 4 to 6 sacks. There's only so much you could do. Unless you had a superstar player after they patched in some superstar lineman abilities, even then, you'll still see 94, 95 overall tackles. Even say they're a star dev, they will give up the 5, 6 sacks a game against Khalil Mack. Even if you're max protecting and stuff, they will still just destroy it and ruin your game. And I'll tell you right now, that was one of our big feedbacks in Madden 20, that the pass rush was a little too overpowered. And this is coming from someone that uses D-line. I want D-line to be as overpowered as possible so that when I play, I look like I'm the shit at the game. But when you've Flip it around. The AI's on the defensive side. You're playing all pro. You're playing all Madden. You're not playing on some cupcake difficulty. It just kind of ruined the game. So I will start off this video by saying the one positive from the X Factors this year, in my opinion, and that is they gave the respect the offensive linemen deserve and really what we need for a balanced gameplay. Now here's where they dropped the ball. Here's absolutely, I mean, you can go to this blog and read all these little things. They got some new X Factors, which we'll get on, because before we talk about Avalanche, because we've already kind of talked about it a little bit, but I'm going to reemphasize it just a little bit. They talked about rebalances. So that they have route running here for route specialists. They rebalance that a little bit. Was a lot of people complaining about that? I don't think so. Defensive coverage. Was there people complaining about the defensive coverage on X Factors? I don't think so. Pass leading. Okay, maybe you're starting to get a little bit of like, yeah, people weren't really happy with the pass lead and quarterback pressure. Fast break, powerful outliers. We got escape artist. So escape artist, which is something that 100% should be removed from the game, now only provides its benefits if the user is close to full stamina. This will prevent undesirable situations where a quarterback could continually stop and start behind the line of scrimmage at a moment's notice. So, in a way, that's good. Sure, make it less overpowered. But the biggest issue with escape artists, and I don't know why they're not addressing it, is that you're going to have quarterbacks that don't have this superstar ability that are scramblers. And they're not going to play like a scrambling quarterback. Like, here's an example. If you're watching Flashback Pink Slips, I have Tim Tebow. He has really, high 80s in speed, acceleration, all that stuff. But he has no abilities. So he does not feel barely any different than like Tom Brady behind the line of scrimmage. Once you get in open field, yeah, because then that thing kind of triggers off the escape artist bubble, we'll call it that, kind of triggers off a little bit. And then it kind of is a little bit more reflective about your, acceleration and sprint speed and stuff. But behind the line of scrimmage, it's garbage. You feel like you're in quicksand. And the fact that if you don't have this escape artist ability, that your mobile quarterback, you're not going to get the satisfaction of having a beastly scrambling quarterback if you don't get that escape artist ability. If you have a, we did a rebuild with Kyler Murray. I referenced this last time we talked about this. In the very first rebuild of Madden 20, I had Kyler Murray, and I was so pumped to be like, this is going to be overpowered. Let's see if he's a mini Michael Vick. But Kyler Murray, at launch in Madden 20, did not have escape artist, and it was impossible to run with him. He would just constantly get sacked. It was so not fun, not good, and how, escape artist should not be in the game. Or escape artist should be tied. How about this? How about this one? If the escape artist ability should be tied to stats only. There you go. There's your fix. If you have a quarterback that meets a certain threshold in speed, acceleration, agility, ball carrier, vision, I don't know necessarily all the things that should be the indicators, but they have a certain average, every quarterback that breaks that threshold should have escape artist. If you're going to have an ability like this in the game, you got to either, you either got to retool it so that it's not, make it so you can miss tackles or something. That's already an ability that they have. But it's not good in its current state. So the fact that they kind of nerfed it a little bit, but still doesn't even touch the biggest issue with the ability is a little frustrating. And that's the first example of how they're dropping the ball. Dashing Deadeye, no look Deadeye. Yep, definitely a lot of complaints on that. Pro reads, I know a lot of people on the forums were complaining about pro reads and Gambler for sure. Blitz Radar as well. Definitely, they got the guru abilities. I haven't seen anyone complain about this shit. The only abilities that I saw the community be overwhelmingly vocally displeased was with Escape Artist, which is still in the game, and they did not make it what we want. Goddamn Enforcer, the fumbles are brutal. They were the worst thing, I think. Maybe it's a toss-up. Maybe it's a toss-up from an overpowered edge rusher going off and just completely destroying a game, regardless of the talent you have on your offensive line. The fumbles going up against Derwin James, Jamal Adams, Bobby Wagner. The fumbles were not good. If there was one ability that needed to get, they didn't even touch it. They didn't even talk about it. They did not even talk about it. And then we come to Avalanche, which is like, who suggested this? Sit me in a room with a human being that decided Avalanche should be an ability in this game. There are tacklers, and then there are these guys. When they enter the zone, any successful hit stick made while running towards the line of scrimmage will result in a fumble. Unless there's some crazy analytics that state that this whole scenario, running a hit stick made while running towards the line of scrimmage, if there's something that's they're like, we've simmed out 1,000 games and this scenario came up maybe once a game. Even once a game's too crazy. But I just feel like that is something that's going to get abused, especially if you're a user at linebacker. Just going to hit stick all the time and try to rack them up, right? You look here at what it is. The zone is downhill hit sticks force fumbles. You trigger it by getting 3 hit stick tackles. You're going to have that by like third quarter at the latest. You knock them out with 30 offensive yards. Well, that's not going to be goddamn possible because you're going to be terrified to move the ball as soon as a guy gets into this ability. So, that compiled with the fact that they're promoting it. This is clearly, you tell anyone that played Madden 20 and got familiar with the abilities and stuff, shit like that, that they added something else, a new ability that can have more fumbles, which no one wants, and they're promoting it. 2 players on the Seattle Seahawks with the Avalanche ability, Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams. You get 6 hit stick tackles between them. It's an automatic fumble. It's an automatic forced fumble. There's no increase to fumble chances. There's no gray area. It's downhill hit sticks will force fumbles. So, first of all, if you play, head-to-head online, you see Seattle, back out. Absolutely back out. Second of all, why would you promote something that is not appealing whatsoever to your consumer? There is not one person, unless you're a Seahawks fan, that is happy with this. There's not one person that's like, yes, Avalanche. The one thing we needed was more fumbles, more overpowered players on the defensive side of the ball. So I mean, the only way I could come up with is you're gonna have to put on safe carry, like that thing that makes so you can't juke, you can't do any, but you have increased chance of not fumble. You're gonna have to pretty much run safe carry every game against Seattle, and I don't even know if that's gonna be a counter to it. That kind of helped out with Enforcer and stuff like that last year. We played a lot of games when we were the Raiders against the Chargers, going up against Derwin James, but I don't know, man. I'm seeing this whole rebalances and stuff, and I'm just seeing some nonsense. I'm not seeing, maybe not nonsense, but I feel like my pulse is enough on the community that I know the issues with certain X factors, and I'm not seeing any proper adjustments to the things that were truly upsetting and frustrating the fan base. So, yeah, I mean, we already talked about the new abilities and stuff. I think Avalanche should not be in the... Anything that's just... Anything, like something like that. Fumble. That can make or break a game. Things like, different little abilities like this, like jukes and better jump abilities and all that stuff. Preventing fumbles. That's not necessarily going to turn the game. But if you play Seattle, you could be doing everything right. And then Bobby Wagner and Jamal Adams, fourth quarter, both got Avalanche. There's nothing you can do. If they hit you on that goddamn downhill hit stick, you're just going to fumble. The game's over. And why would you want that in your game? Why? It's just... I'm someone that is on the side of I think X Factors aren't that bad. I know there's a pretty big divide in the community. There's a side that think X Factors shouldn't belong in the game. There's a side that think that they're fun. I think generally speaking, it's a video game at its core, and X Factor abilities aren't bad. And I think it also, more so, my judgment could be clouded before the fact that X Factors and Superstar abilities are really the only exciting thing that can happen in a franchise mode right now. So, that being said, they dropped the ball. They absolutely dropped the ball when it came to the X Factors in Madden 21. The tweaks didn't really... I mean, like I said, we'll give them credit. More lineman abilities should hopefully kind of balance out the overpowered edge rushers, which is good. Check mark on that. But then when it comes to escape artists, drop the ball. Forcer, drop the ball. Why is that still in the game? And Avalanche, why? Like, who? That's my biggest thing. Who? If I had an interview, I absolutely wish we can come to a point where I can like just interview a couple Madden devs, ask them everything about the game. I would love to sit down with the guy that suggested Avalanche and for him to explain why they think it's a good reason to have that in the game. versus something else, literally anything else. Even tweak it. Just make it so it's not an automatic fumble. If it came out and said Avalanche increases the chance of fumble by, and you have to give a percent, 25%. That's still kind of overpowered, and I think more people will be open to that. The fact that it's automatic, it's certain, it's finite, that's kind of brutal for me. So, I know a lot of people here. Another thing, I'm just gonna kind of end it out with the fixed Madden franchise thing. Deuce Douglas made a tweet about it. There's, you know, I'll say like this, as I'm slowly starting to distance myself from it. You know, there's people right now that are kind of taking over the movement, and it went from, you know, all the big YouTubers and stuff kind of like, yeah, let's show some franchise, to now it's like, all right, they told us that we'll be getting something mid-August, early August. Let's wait and see. And now you have a bunch of people trying to take it over and attack the developers and do the exact same shit. Basically, right now, the fixed Madden franchise movement has transitioned from the community wanting change to that hardcore, far right, far left, whatever you want to call it, anti-Madden people just kind of going after the devs and doing the same shit that's really made their voices fall on deaf ears. And like, it's almost like I don't want to be attached to the fixed Madden franchise at this moment just because of the direction that they're taking. So I will just say like that, I am as fixed Madden franchise as anyone, but the movement, if that's what we're gonna call it right now, over the last week or so, has definitely taken a turn for the worst. So I don't know, man, just understand that there's a right way of doing it and a wrong way to doing it, and I don't know. I'm just saying from that standpoint, I'm not necessarily dropping it because as much as any human being on the face of the earth, I want franchise mode to get fixed. But let's wait and see what happens on August. I mean, it's waiting longer than what we wanted, but the current approach to the fixed Madden franchise is not what I want to support. It's not what I want to be a part of. Attacking all you're gonna do when you attack developers is piss them off. Like right now, there's a bunch of people, like they're tweeting at, I'm not gonna name names, but they're tweeting at Clint and stuff like that. And it's like, what do you think? Like, we went from, maybe there's a chance that they're seeing this and be like, oh man, we gotta change something, let's get something going for August, to like, if you just attack a guy like that, they're just probably in their own little tweets just being like, you see these idiots attacking me on Twitter? Like, but they're like, I don't know. I'm not gonna go into it. I'm just saying it's taking a turn for the worst, and just double check who you support when it comes to that. But that is it for me. As always, I'm not gonna say hashtag fixed Madden franchise, but fixed Madden franchise, that'd be great. And what do you guys feel about these X factors and abilities and shit like that? Let me know in the comment section below. And till next time, it's C4 saying peace.